Hello everyone, welcome back to Super Mario Brothers from the year 2006.
So,
It's a really long name.
Mario 06.
Oh no, oh god, no, why?
Well, no, I mean it's not wrong. It's technically
I know, but
it
it's
is
just,
a Mario
you can name anything like that and it just makes it sound more sinister, you know?
And he's welded.
so did Bowser just lose the ability to disguise, like Toads as the princess, or
Well, I
other
mean,
things
I
as
like...
him?
I mean, the framing doesn't matter because it's a freaking Mario game and the plot literally is nonsense, is like less important than in nearly every other video game other than like Tetris or Pong. But like the idea that you're chasing Bowser Jr., who has Peach the entire time, is neat. You know, it's more dynamic than just, oh, she's in another castle. Like, that's something.
I mean, she still is, though.
It's also kind of silly how bumbling Mario has to be to not rescue Peach at the first castle, though. Or the second,
I mean, that's
or
always
the third.
what... Well, it's less so at the castles because Bowser Jr. like releases a boss on you and you have to fight it before you can get Peach and then he gets away. It's more so at the towers where he looks really stupid because you kick Bowser Jr.'s ass and then he goes, all right! And then he just stands there and watch Bowser Jr. like jump away. And he's just like, should I go after Bowser Jr.?
Should I do something? I should do something. Should I do something? I should do something.
Yeah, that's basically just Mario the entire... But these guys aren't that scary. What the hell are you guys talking about?
They're invincible. They're immune to stars.
I mean, that's in itself kind of terrifying, but now only Unagi in 64 is the most terrifying version. Every other rendition is fine.
This is technically Super Mario 64. It's the same Unagi.
Yeah, but it's upgraded Unagi. Unagi lost his fangs.
He's got literally every teeth is a fang. Look at how sharp they all are.
Unagi is one of those things where it's literally just like an accident of how ugly the graphics were that made him kind of scary looking. But,
honestly, I don't find him that scary. I find that people overemphasize some of the scary parts of Mario 64, but at least like the piano is a legitimate jump scare, you know, versus Unagi's. Unagi's just an eel, you know. He's gonna get you.
Well, the thing that terrifies me more about Unagi now is just the damage output. Like, that fucker takes a third of your health on contact.
Plus, you're constantly losing it because you're underwater. So
yes.
Yeah, but all you have to do is breathe, and that'll fix all of Mario's.
That's a pretty good ways up.
I don't know. I just always find it funny that when you breathe in Mario 64, you just like heal cancer and suddenly are as healthy as you've ever been. You know, that's why Mario healthcare is so easy. They just dunk any sick patient into a pool of water and bring them back out, and they're fine.
Yeah, I think everyone's aboard again, Christian.
It always was a bit funky how they tied oxygen to the health bar, rather than
I assume it was just because they didn't want to make a separate oxygen meter.
There's enough water in the game that they really should have.
Like, almost every level has water. I'm trying to think of one that doesn't, and the only...
Bomb Battlefield doesn't have water.
Bomb Battlefield is the only one I can... Rainbow Ride, maybe?
There's nothing in Rainbow Ride.
And it's so weird, because, like, as far as I know, Mario 64 is the only 3D game with a water system in it that doesn't section off oxygen into its own bar.
The only other ones I can think of just don't have oxygen systems at all.
Yeah, like
well, Sunshine had an oxygen.
Yeah,
thing,
Sunshine did. Galaxies do.
Yeah,
because like the only other games like around that time that I can think of that made swimming into a huge thing are like Tomb Raider, and
I mean Banjo had a lot of swimming in it.
Yeah, but Banjo also did pull a lot from Mario 64. As well, which I think a lot of people kind of tend to forget a lot of the time, is that Banjo effectively is just another Super Mario 64, just with slightly different mechanics. It is a very...
I would call it, like, refined Mario 64, to be honest.
Yeah, but, like Banjo and Mario are much more similar than, say, like, Banjo and Kirby. Or, honestly, I think, like, the best comparison I can think of is that Banjo and Mario 64 are about as similar as Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country. Other than the graphics and maybe like a feel to the movement, the structure and pacing is very, very similar.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Versus like, I know that, I don't know, like Sonic and Mario don't really feel all that different, like all that similar at all. And like the levels designs tend to be pretty different as well. So they're only about as similar as the fact that they're both 2D platformers, really. Which I suppose is a pretty big similarity, now I'm thinking about it. So I'm just talking out my ass like normal. Ignore me.
You'll hear something.
Stop ignoring me, I'm lonely. Oh, this is the first time they do this twist, which they'll do in like 6 other games. Where it's like, okay, you do the castle in the final world, and it's not actually the final level. Keep playing our game, bitch.
I like the idea that Mario started to treat its own cliches with a bit of healthy irony, but
then the cliche, then the whole them being snarky about it became a thing in and of itself. So
yeah,
it's kind of like how Mega Man did the whole it's Wily again for like 2 games in 9 and 10, and then once 11 came out, it's like, okay, the joke's been done. Let's not bother anymore.
Well, in 11, they just have Wily be the bad guy, right?
Yeah. But it's more so in 9 and 10 they go, haha, it was totally Wily. Didn't you all guess that? Ha ha ha, sort of thing.
Was it even a mystery in 9 that it was supposed to be Wily? I thought that it was...
Technically it was. It's a matter of once you beat the game, Rush comes in and does the whole projector. I beat you this time, and 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 this time.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now.
Mine had the excuse of being the first one in a very long time.
Yeah, that's also another thing about this game as well. Like, them kind of playing with the different Mario tropes, I think, works a little bit better when you are the first game to come out in 15 years. It's like, okay.
The issue, though, is if you wait another 15 years, then the next game just ends up being more nostalgia bait.
It's difficult when you're making a game in a series that you haven't made in a while. In that you don't want to try something too new, because then you get the problem that Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts had. Where,
or Federation Force.
Yeah, exactly. Where, okay, we're trying something new and interesting, but it's been years since we've done this franchise, and people who did the franchise just want another game. That's why I think that Mega Man 11 did a really good balance with its new mechanics. In that the speed up and slow down things. They changed the gameplay kinda, like they were enough for a fresh spin, but it ultimately was just another Mega Man game. So it did what the fans wanted and had a little bit of new in it, which I think is about right. The games that really need new stuff put into them more frequently are the games that come out every year or every other year.
I mean that's what we were saying about, Kirby before we finally got Forgotten Lands or whatever it's called.
Yeah, is that
the show? It's like, okay, we've gotten 4 of effectively the same Kirby game in a row. You can do something different now.
Yeah, that's the other thing about Pokemon as well, is that people complain about Pokemon not really doing anything different because we get a Pokemon game every year, and so wanting something different happens when you get the same thing over and over again. It's like how if you eat pizza every day, then you're more likely to want different toppings on that pizza, versus if you only have filet mignon once every 10 years, you probably don't want that filet mignon to be suddenly very different once you get your once a decade prime beef.
It's filet mignon.
Filet mignon? Okay.
Filet mignon.
I'm sure that the Fran Case will really appreciate your pronunciation of the filet mignon.
Huh. I don't know who that is.
Oh, man. Okay, so this track's okay, but the lava theme that they have in the Wii and Onward games is just a lot better. I love that theme. The da-da-da, kind of. Do you know what I'm talking about? No?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you guys think about the bars in the new Mario games?
I hate the bars.
You hate the bars? Okay.
They get in the way of the melody so much.
So this is a lot of sort of physics platforming with the platforms.
Yeah.
The platforms swinging back and forth. I mean, did they do that kind of thing at all in like Mario World?
You guys would know better than I would.
It was more of a thing in Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, I know Yoshi's Island had a lot of rotating sprite
Yeah.
trickery.
The only
But,
real physics platforming I can think of in the original Marios is like the counterweight platforms.
Sort of. I mean, Mario 3 had, you can go down slopes and then jump off at the tail end of like the little ramp and get way more height.
I guess I should mean in terms of
things
like
like that.
platforming gimmicks.
Okay.
Like there's obviously like a specific sense of momentum to the way Mario moves, and that's part of what makes him control real well is that the sense of weight is just really like feels right. And I will say that the new Mario games, for all of their flaws in terms of presentation and like just being the same game 6 times, they do control really well and play well. It's not that they're
I
badly
have no
made.
issue about the controls.
Nah,
they play just fine.
No.
Well, I should say it's not that the gameplay is badly done. Is a better way to phrase that. It's just a matter of the aesthetic is tired as shit. Is I think probably the number one complaint.
Yeah, I'd say so. Although I will say that like on the DS here, New Super Mario Brothers has, I guess I want to say, a more unified look to it. It doesn't look quite so much like smooth, flat 3D objects on a smooth, flat plastic level.
Yeah,
Quite
it
the way that
definitely
some
it
later
definitely
ones
looks like something that's fitting for the hardware, I guess is the thing. Like we could have had a better looking New Super Mario Brothers Wii than we got even on the Wii. Because if you look at the other 2D platformers that came out after, again, I guess we should state for context after that.
Yeah. Imagine a new Super Mario Brothers on Wii that looks like Wario Land Shake It.
Yeah, or like Rayman Origins, or even if it had to be 3D, Kirby's Return to Dreamland looks great on Wii. Donkey Kong Returns looks pretty good on Wii.
What the
I'm
hell
sure
is
there
up? What the hell is
there's
up with this?
There's an invisible block. I thought that you had to do some shenanigans jumping on the Koopas.
Oh,
in order to get
Like
over.
Lost levels sort of shit.
Yeah, but no, there's I think I miss, and then I'm trying to. I was trying to jump out, and I hit the thing by accident. But yeah. Yeah, I think even on the Wii, I'd say that you probably could have done a game that looked like Wario Shake It on for New Super Mario Brothers. It might have been harder if they wanted to do the stuff they did with how the camera kind of moves while you're playing that game, because maybe that would be harder with a 2D animated game at that time. It's definitely something you can do now, because Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection has several points, and that's like a 2D animated game. That game has several points where the camera will pan out, even though it's animated like a 2D game. But then again, the RE engine is just like a marvel of technology, and I love that stupid thing, because it can do all sorts of weird shenanigans.
You mean like a 2D game where the camera zooms in and zooms out as it scrolls from side to side?
Yeah, so in Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection specifically, you're like walking along, and then there's a point where like the castle springs out from up under the ground, and the camera will zoom out, and so Arthur will be smaller on the screen, and you can see like pretty much the whole castle. And then as you walk into the door, the game will zoom back in, so you get a closer look on Arthur. New Super Mario Brothers on Wii does that a lot because it needs to adjust the screen size depending on where all 4 people are on the screen.
Yeah, it's
Need I remind the audience of our Harmony of Despair playthrough on BrainScratch?
Oh
yeah,
god.
I was about to bring up Harmony of Despair. That's
You see, that game sounds like it would be great if everybody had their own copy. Ironically enough, if it were a portable game, it probably would be a lot easier.
Well, I
The game
mean,
is much
it is
better
mainly
online.
meant to be an online game. It's just that the local co-op just isn't designed well.
No.
Can you still play that game online, or did they shut the server
Yeah,
down?
you can.
Oh, you can. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure
it's
it's one of those games that just uses the generic PlayStation Network service or
okay.
Xbox Live service.
That's a game that actually realistically could be good if they released it on like Switch and you do it the handheld way.
Yeah.
Well, they want you to play Grimoire Souls now.
Well, I know that.
I
but
think
What's Grimoire Souls?
the mobile.
it's
the
just
mobile,
basically
the mobile
yeah.
game.
It's the mobile game that originally I believe had a soft launch in Canada and was originally Japanese only for a bit. But now I think they are just giving it a full out release.
Like on consoles?
I believe so. I have not been following it because Konami does so little with the franchise. It's kind of hard to keep
This
track
kind
of
of
when they actually
feels
do something
like
with it.
this kind of feels like that one free-to-play Soul Calibur game, like the kind of thing. Like I don't
There's a
think anyone
free-to-play
who
Soul Calibur game?
yes, it was on PSN, PS3
Ugh.
specifically. It was not great. There was also a free-to-play Tekken game.
At least I know of that one because that's the one they added the vampire girl.
Yeah, that was where Eliza made her debut.
Grimoire Souls was only is still only mobile devices.
And it's basically just mobile Harmony of Dissonance.
Harmony of Despair.
Okay, look, you can't blame me for getting those two stupid games mixed up. All right. Like,
One's Despair, one's Dissonance.
yeah, then they're both a harmony of
It's in the name.
The harmony of D's.
I mean, they're both
nuts.
harmonious.
The only reason I don't get those titles mixed up is because I read more than any human should. But like,
It's true.
but like, yeah, I can see getting those titles mixed up. They do sound and spell very similar. In fact, my first thought when I saw Harmony of Despair was like, wait, is that the GBA game?
Is that the one that you can't see what you're doing, or the one where you can see what you're doing?
Well, now that there's a new compilation out, you can play Harmony of Dissonance and actually see what you're doing.
Well, you could always see what you're doing in Harmony of Dissonance because the graphics are just ugly bright in the first place. Circle of Moon was the first GBA.
Oh, well, now that there's a compilation out, you can play Circle of the Moon and see what you're doing.
Yeah. I was like, that's more applicable for Circle of the Moon because Circle of the Moon fucking hell.
Now we just need a DS. Now we just need a DS compilation so we can have Jonathan Charlotte.
I'm waiting, man. I'm hoping the Advanced Collection does well enough to.
I hope so too. It's not like they haven't done. It's not like there haven't been DS ports to console before. There are actually several on the Wii U.
I mean,
Like,
the only thing that would be hard for them to port is the stupid drawing on the screen thing in Dawn of Sorrow. And if they just, like, cut that completely from the game, it would be, like, a 30% better game anyway, so...
I mean, you could realistically just tie that to the right analog stick.
I mean, I would prefer if they just cut it from the game.
I mean, same, but yeah.
mechanic.
I mean, same, but you could just do that with the right analog stick and be fine.
Yeah. Also, can they fix the art and get good art for it?
You know what kind of oh yeah, because Portrait of Ruin and Aria of Sorrow both had that incredibly generic anime style that none of the other Castlevania games used.
I mean, would you prefer Buff Light Yagami from the PSP Fighter?
I mean, honestly, kinda, because that would be funnier.
At least the PSP, at least the fighting game, at least the stupid fighting game had a unique art style to it, even if it was a weird, unique art style, you know?
And it at least looked more like what I imagined Castlevania in my head. At least the key art, maybe not so the actual game, because it's been years since I've seen footage of the actual
wait, now that I'm thinking about it, there are two fighting games, aren't there?
There's Judgment on the Wii.
Yes.
That's the only one I know.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
I believe there's only one fighting game.
Oh, was it just released on two systems then? Okay.
No, Judgment's only Wii.
No, I thought it was a PSP game.
No, Judgment's only Wii.
Okay, then.
Well, Judgment was the one I'm thinking of. It has very weird character design, but
Yeah, that's Judgment.
it's kind of like the Sonic Boom of Castlevania. It's very strange.
I don't like that.
I mean, I would argue that Lords of Shadow is more the Sonic Boom of Castlevania, but that's
Lords
a
of Shadow
debate
is the
for a
Tomb Raider
whole nother day.
2013 of Castlevania.